Hello, and welcome to another edition of the Book Review Blog. I am your book reviewer, and today we're going to review the book The Stand, the complete and uncut edition by Stephen King. This copy is called the complete and uncut edition, and I put it in now in this chronological thing because back in 1977, I believe, Stephen King originally wrote The Stand, but because he wasn't as well known of an author as he is now and was still in 1990, his publisher at the time, it was Doubleday, they required him to cut a lot of the book out so they could publish it, because they weren't, I'm assuming it was because, again, he was new and the books that he had written at the time weren't that long, so they were afraid that if he had published a book that was, this long, nobody would buy it. So anyway, and then when he became more famous and more popular and had gotten a new publisher, he reissued the book and had put the other stuff back in that he had cut out and had, edited it and updated it for time, or for the year, and blah, blah, blah. So, anyway, and so what you're left is with this book. There you go. My copy is kind of fun because my copy is falling apart. And, while I was reading this book, I kind of switched between reading it and listening to the audiobook, which was done very well. And when I was reading the book and kind of following along with the audiobook, I noticed that about 50 pages of my book were missing. So I'm very glad I had the audiobook, because you kind of miss a lot when you are missing 50 pages. So regardless, let's get started. The Stand is about a super flu virus that the government had kind of under wraps, and I don't know exactly if it was going to be used for like nuclear weapon against other countries or whatnot. But anyway, they had it, and it escaped, and it escaped from the laboratory that it was in, and because of one of the workers named Charlie Campion, he managed to escape before this super flu could exactly intake his body and kill him instantly, because that's what the super flu did. But this super flu has about a 99.4 or 5% communicability. So think about, how quickly the flu virus and like the common cold can spread to, from one person to another. This is way bigger. And so, this Charlie Campion escapes from his home in California out east, and he gets as far with his wife and their little girl. He gets as far as Arnett, Texas, which is the eastern part of Texas, kind of near the Texas Arkansas border, and where he meets a group of people, and one of the people in this group is a man named Stuart Redman, and Stu he talks to Charlie along with the other group, and at that point Charlie dies, and then but because this flu is easily communicable between California, where Charlie started, and East Texas, which is of course a very long way, he has spread this virus to a bunch of people, by getting food, taking rest stops, and talking to people, or meeting people, vice versa, and then, therefore they get it, and they pass it along to people, vice versa, and everything like that. So, so basically this book is about a super virus that kills about 99% of the population. And the other, 0.5 or 1% of these people survive. And Stuart Redman is one that survives. And you kind of go along the United States to all parts of the country to different people who end up surviving. You go to, like, Maine, where you meet Franny Goldsmith and Harold Lauder. You go to New York, where you meet Larry Underwood. And you go to Arkansas, where you meet a man named Nick Andros. And, and so on and so forth. And I'll talk a little bit more about them in a second. But what happens is that once, like, all the people die, that's kind of the first part of this book, is, like, it kind of wipes out all the people that are going to die, which unfortunately is, all of the, basically, survivors' families, so you get to hear, their aftermath of their death and how they cope with things and things like that. So, and then once kind of all the people who are going to die, the survivors end up having dreams. And they dream of either a African-American woman in Nebraska who says, come to me, or they dream of this dark man that they call it. They call it the dark man, the walking dude. He's like a bad guy, and his name ends up being Randall Flagg, but they don't know that yet. But again, more about him later. But so the people who survive start moving, or like moving west, either towards Nebraska or towards end up being Las Vegas, where this Randall Flagg is. And which I thought was hysterical, because Randall Flagg is supposed to represent kind of like a devil character, not the devil exactly, but a devil character where if you're like kind of evil at heart and have evil intentions, you're going to go to Las Vegas, which is evil, I guess. So you hear other, you read about all these characters who survive, and you go and if they're going to Nebraska or to Las Vegas. And like people like Stu Redman, Franny Goldsmith, Harold Lauder, Larry Underwood, and Nick Andros, they end up going to Nebraska, where people like Lou Henry is another character. He goes to Las Vegas. There's a really fun character in the book called all he's known is the Trash Can Man, although his name is revealed, but he's called the Trash Can Man because he lights fires in trash cans. He's like a pyromaniac to the extreme, and he's kind of a funny character because just because. And he ends up going to Las Vegas as well. And it's kind of funny because as these people are heading west, they pick up other survivors. Like, eventually, Franny and Harold Lauder meet Stu Redman. Stu meets a man named Glenn Bateman. And they head west, and then Nick meets a man named Tom Cullen, and Tom Cullen is he is mildly retarded, and Nick and Tom are kind of my two favorite characters, because Nick is just nice, where Nick is, deaf mute, and so he battles that problem, but, Tom is, he's just a really likable character because, his mental retardation, he knows that something's wrong, but he doesn't, that people have died, but he doesn't know what's wrong, and he unfortunately has a hard time processing things, and, things like that. So, Nick and Tom meet a man named Ralph, I'm sorry, whose last name escapes me, but that's not important, and, so they end up, again, going to Nebraska, and, one of the things that happens is, that eventually when they're in Nebraska, they meet this African-American woman that they meet. Her name is Abigail Fremantle, but they're like, folks call me Mother Abigail, and she's 106 years old or 8 years old, and they say that she still makes her own bread, which I thought was kind of cute. When they get to Nebraska, they decide to move on to Boulder, Colorado, where they establish a new like civilization in Boulder, where again all of kind of the good people go, or at least people that start out good. Like, there are a couple of characters who start out at Boulder, but they end up moving on to Las Vegas because they're also having dreams. Everybody, all the survivors have dreams, but the people who end up going to Las Vegas, they have a dream about this African-American woman, but this Randall Flagg is telling them that she's evil and that they have to avoid her, and they have to go to him. So, again, it's kind of like going, the devil tempting you and saying, this is, what you think is right is not right, my way is right, and things like that. So, anyway, they go, and the people in Boulder, again, start a new civilization, and the people in Las Vegas, they start kind of their own civilization. And so it's like a good versus evil. Then basically they're ready both to clash because they know about each other, and the people in Las Vegas want to destroy the people in Boulder. And so that's kind of what happens towards the end of the book, or like you have people who from Boulder who go to Las Vegas and things like that. I'm sorry, I don't want to tell you what happens. And I know I'm leaving a lot out because, again, you can't say as much in this book as you can because look at the thickness of it. If you have seen like 20 years ago, ABC did a mini-series of this movie, or of this book, and it was really good. And, had, well-known people in, like, movies and TV, and then, had a couple new ones, too. It was really good. It was pretty accurate, and what wasn't accurate was, in my opinion, well done. Like, because they, you can't have exactly a book to movie or TV. But definitely, if you liked the mini-series but haven't read the book, please read the book, because there are definite changes, and of course, you're missing a ton, because again, like, the miniseries was like 8 hours long, but still, you can't fit all of this into one miniseries. And now I hear they're trying to make a movie of The Stand, and I'm interested to know what's going to happen with that. So, how they're going to cram, I guess is the better word, all of this information into a movie. I'm sure it'll be, one of those 2-part things, because I know they're doing that again with It, and that's going to be 2 parts, but, maybe they'll do something like that with The Stand. So anyway, again, I'm sorry if you've read the book and seeing my review. I'm sorry that I haven't given a lot, but again, I want people to read the book, and I couldn't possibly tell you all of what goes in this book. So, please read it. If you're any type of Stephen King fan, you're gonna read it. So, anyway, the next Stephen King book I'm going to read is a collection of novellas in the book 4 Past Midnight. So, that's it. I bid you all farewell, and happy reading.